Hi, it's Robert Mitchell, and I'm at the Inlight Human Rights Documentary Film Festival here in Bloomington, Indiana. And I'm here with Enrique Monagas, who was featured in the documentary The Case Against 8. For background, could you tell me about what Prop 8 was and how you came into the documentary?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me. Proposition 8 was a ballot initiative that was enacted in 2008 in California that stripped away the rights of gays and lesbians to be able to marry. In May of 2008, the California Supreme Court had recognized that gays and lesbians have that right under the California's Constitution. And the initiative was put on the ballot by the proponents of Prop 8 to specifically take away that right. And when it passed in November of 2008, the same year that Barack Obama was elected presidency, it was an affront to gays and lesbians in California, but really worldwide, that a state that's so progressive like California could still take away this right. And the movie The Case Against 8 chronicles our 5-year legal battle to overturn Prop 8.
And how did you become the lawyer to represent the couple that you did ultimately represent?
So the lead counsel on the case were Ted Olson and David Boies, and I was an associate working with both of them. I work at Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher, which is Ted Olson's firm. And when the complaint was filed, and I personally filed it in 2009, I was part of a small team that came together to find the plaintiffs, to think about what are legal arguments, to draft that complaint. So it was really exciting to be part of the case in the very, very beginning, all the way up to the Supreme Court.
As it stands right now, there's still 7 states that do not recognize same-sex marriage at all. There's 3 that have complicated issues. Like Kansas will issue marriage licenses to same-sex couples, but do not actually recognize that it's a valid marriage. So there's still a lot of work and fighting to be done on this issue in this country. What do you think the next steps are? And currently it's a state issue. Do you think it will ever be recognized just flat out as a federal, that, like heterosexual couples get married and that's just across the board?
Yes. In fact, there's 4 cases that are pending before the Supreme Court right now. An argument will be heard in April of this year, April of 2015. A lot of progress, incredible progress is made on this issue since we filed the complaint. So when we filed the complaint in May of 2009, less than 50% of Americans thought that marriage equality was a good thing. Now we're tipping to 60% of Americans believing that. And we're over 30 states that recognize same-sex marriage. So I think we're very, very close to getting nationwide 50-state marriage equality. And I'm very hopeful that when the Supreme Court hears this case, which will be again in April, that they're going to go towards the side of justice, and they're going to extend the right to marriage equality to all Americans in the United States.
When you guys took Prop 8 to court, it's such a giant legal team. How does that work, and how complicated is that to work with so many different individuals on one common goal?
That's a really great question, actually. So when we started the case, we've always had like a core of 5 or 6 attorneys who've been like the hub of the case. But when we got to trial, we were up to 60 attorneys. We had the law firm of Gibson, Dunn & Crutcher, the law firm of Boies, Schiller, and Flexner, but we also had the city and county of San Francisco who intervened to overturn Prop 8. So we had 60 attorneys working together during this 12-week trial. And it was incredible. It was very cohesive. Everyone got along really well. And it's also like it's a unique thing in your life. So I'm gay. So when you have like your personal and your professional life coming together, it's rare and it's special. And I wasn't the only gay person there on the team, and it was very personal for a lot of people. And we just all came together in this really incredible way. And we knew we were fighting for something that was really, really important for us. And it was a great team.
As a lawyer, and as you were saying, this kind of intersected your personal life and your professional life. How do you not get, we're all emotional people, how do you separate your emotions from the legal case?
I found in my life, in my career, that, getting invested in my client's work is, beneficial, right? So you become really motivated when you take their interest as your own interest. And this was obviously very easy to do in this case since their interests were my interests. And I think everybody on that team felt that way. Whether you were heterosexual or gay, you just believe that the world's going to be a better place when there's equality for everybody. and I thought, what the unique thing was about it was that having gay and lesbian people on the team provided a different perspective and a necessary perspective, right? This case was really about, and the whole marriage equality fight is really about unknowns. Like, people don't understand the concept, so they're very quick to judge and say, you guys want special rights. You want a special marriage. But as soon as you know gay people and you see their relationship, you're like, wow, their relationship is just as boring as mine, It's just marriage. And so what we brought, I think, the gay and lesbian attorneys on the team, we just brought a different perspective that was really important in the case, right? So we were able to talk about things in a way that resonated to a straight judge, but also to talk about what the human indignity was of not being able to get married in a way that I think a heterosexual person actually couldn't, because they didn't really have that direct experience of being treated like a second-class citizen.
I think it's fairly rare to have cameras documents a legal case. And what was that like to have the directors of the film documenting all the discussions prior to the trial and whatnot?
In one word, I think it was frightening to have yourself recorded constantly. It was very much like the real world, right, where there's cameras following you all around, and that's it goes against every bone in a lawyer's body to have a camera crew record you for a variety of reasons, one of them being attorney-client privilege. But this is something that our clients wanted to do. We recognized the plaintiffs in this case are 4 incredible human beings, and they recognized that the case wasn't just about what happened in the courtroom, but what happened outside the courtroom, right? We had to win minds and hearts outside the courtroom before we got into the courtroom to win the case. And the documentary is part of that, right? So when you see the documentary, hopefully you walk out understanding more of the struggles that gay and lesbians have to face, the indignities they have to face. And in order to make that movie, you have to allow cameras in and you have to record the lawyers. So we knew that was part and parcel of the case, not just what happens in the courtroom, it's what happens outside the courtroom. But yeah, after a while, you kind of just forget the cameras are there, and you say things that you're like, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that." You get very comfortable very fast. Ben and Ryan are fantastic, and they're very objective, and they're serious documentarians. So, as you know, that means that they have editorial control, of what they're going to actually make. So, you hope that you're being honest, that you're being yourself, and if you're yourself, you should be confident that that's going to be a truthful depiction of what really happened, but you're also hopeful that on their end, when they're editing it and they're creating this movie, that they're being honest. And what they made was incredible. It really captures what happened in a very honest way, and I think that's incredible given that they filmed for 5 years. They have over 600 hours of footage, and then to distill it to what it is 90 minutes or so, and to really capture the story in such an authentic way is incredible.